Hello, friends. This is Molly with Soul School Tarot and Astrology, and I'm here with you guys today for a twin flame update, twin flame journey update for the full moon in Aries on October 1st and the beautiful energy that is going to be bringing in. If you guys did not catch the astro forecast, please check that out. Man, there's some beautiful energy coming in for the divine feminine and masculine. For today's reading, I really do feel like, okay, spirit is in the building, and I'm talking about higher level, higher order energies and entities. In fact, I'm feeling moved by Archangel Gabriel at this time. So I started off with just a quick smudge with some eucalyptus because they're, like I said, you guys, this Aries full moon is bringing in a lot of opportunities for healing, a lot of opportunities for understanding the darkness within oneself and others, a lot of compassion, and a lot of heart healing. And something that I did not mention in the astro forecast, but Spirit is asking me to mention at this time, is that in addition to the heart chakra healing, there's going to be a lot of throat chakra healing. What is your truth and how do you speak it? So, eucalyptus is an herb that's really good for both heart and throat chakra healing. The reason why we started that off today, they're letting me know with that quick smudging, is it's just an invitation for you guys to take a few deep breaths into your heart space at this time. And then to go ahead and leave that space open, go ahead and exhale any stress, energy, any sort of blockages that you're feeling there at this time. Fill that space with self-love, with self-compassion. Okay, clear away any self-judgment. And leave your heart open during this reading to answer a question honestly. I don't know what question that is, you guys. Like I said, I'm feeling the presence of Archangel Gabriel. Archangel Gabriel is all about, to me, emotional healing, bringing together love and relationships, the way that we relate to one another. And I think there are two questions that he's got for us today. This is the Oracle of Dr. John D. And what I like about this is that each card presents the querent with a different question depending on the area of life that it falls into. So, one of those areas of life is love and inspiration. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the meaning of each of these cards as it falls into the area of love and inspiration, which is governed by Archangel Gabriel. All right. So the question is, whom do you serve? With an open heart. Now I know why he had us go through all of that. All right. Here's the entry. When love or inspiration fail, look to the deepest levels of awareness. Ask yourself what your motives truly are. What purpose is best served by following one course of action over another? In relationships, seek to know the true nature of your motivation. Are you clinging to a relationship that has outworn its course, or simply opting for a change for purely selfish reasons? Consider the real influence and inspiration that moves you through life and that truly makes you happy without qualification. Once again, Archangel Gabriel is asking at this time, whom do you serve with an open heart? And I feel like this image is very important because we have the moon up here. The moon is our inner guidance, all right? And then there's this sea of emotion that we've all been trying to navigate in one way, shape, or form. They are calling my attention to the city. Am I right? There's a city in the background, which represents society. This is the narrative that has been handed to us about what really makes us happy. This is the stories that we've been told about what we should be chasing in order to pursue our happiness. In this boat, this person has gone out into the depths of their emotions, which obviously natural tides being guided by the moon, being ruled by the inner self. All right. I'm seeing a lot of Six of Swords imagery. So this is steering yourself away from society's narrative in order to go within and really understand what's going on with you at a subconscious level. This sacred geometry here, let me look at it a little more closely, to me represents, like, in some way, a spiritual awakening. Like, you had to get away from society to look into your deeper waters, and you found a mystery there. And when I say a mystery, it is just a system, a way of knowing something that you can't really explain. You can read about it in a book, but you have to experience it yourself. It is a higher knowing, a higher belief system. Okay? So you just wanted to get away from everybody else's voice and tune into yourself, and you stumbled across a new way of understanding yourself, where you're now kind of trying to shift between following society's narrative about what makes you happy and move towards your inner self. For some of you, this is like life path stuff. For some of you, this represents past life regressions, understanding the twin flame journey, shadow work, esotericism, okay? Maybe you've gotten into astrology, sacred geometry, multidimensionality, which is very, very cool, because it's like that knowledge was there for you all along, and whatever situation you've been trying to navigate through, it's almost like it was presented to you in order to push you towards deeper into your inner self to find this higher truth. Okay? And so now, wow, that's kind of cool. Spirit told me he got here with a compass. A compass is a man-made object, right? But he's going to find his way back using celestial navigation. Does that make sense? Not using the societies of the standards of society to gauge your direction, but using your own internal knowing. Some of you guys you're feeling internally, emotionally, deeply, subconsciously, mysteriously, in this way that you don't even understand. You're being pulled toward something. And that something, the reason your guides are pulling you in that direction is because that something is in alignment with your heart. And that's why we had to open that space up before we started this reading. Because this is your inner voice saying to you, hey, I've been telling you. I've been telling you where we need to go. I've been telling you what our true happiness is, but you've been hearing the echoes and the din, the cacophony of society, of all these conflicting messages about where you should be going, rather than just following your internal guidance. So this is a moment, a stage of transition between the voices that you listen to, your inner guidance, your outer guidance, the outer guidance that you were following in the past, and learning to tune into your inner guidance, okay? So that is the green magus. A magus is a creator. So you are creating a new way of being in the world based on what guidance you are using in order to steer yourself forward. That's what this Aries full moon is. Aries is all about the self. This Aries full moon is square Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn, which represents society and the subconscious. This Aries full moon is about taking your power back and following your true inner self, which is your true will, rather than your ego, which is the self, the version of yourself that was written by society, and that we often bend ourselves backwards trying to fit that narrative of who we are based on what society sees rather than following our inner guidance. So Herodotus is the next one. This is the green historian. Historians are all about identifying patterns. So I have a feeling that this, yes, hold on just one second. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. For part of you, this is asking you to move away, or you're in a position where you're finding a need. And this is what the inner conflict is. For some of you, moving away from the city, moving away from society means moving away from your counterpart. Moving away temporarily, from anybody else's input on your happiness. Because then when you're in that space alone and it's out of self-inquiry rather than, desperation, or, you're not in a space where you need a relationship because you've gone within and you found what it is that makes you happy individually. So that when you come back into a relationship, you don't have to depend on the other person for your happiness. And that's part of the social narrative that we're rowing away from. The social narrative that true happiness comes from finding your partner, finding your counterpart. That's bullshit, you guys. Even if you're on the twin flame journey, this idea that your soul has been split in two and cannot be happy until it finds the other half, that's straight bullshit. And that's coming from my guides. That's coming from Archangel Gabriel standing here saying bullshit. Okay? The twin flame journey is about teaching you to love yourself. We just had 11:11 on the timer. Teaching you to love yourself so that when you come back into union, any relationship with anybody, you understand that you don't need that. That there are parts of your happiness, most of your happiness, actually all of your happiness comes from you. So listen to what this is saying. Often we spend a lot of our time waiting for significant events to happen. This is for those of you who are sitting around tapping your foot saying, I've done the inner work. I'm leaving things behind. I'm ready for reunion. I'm ready for reconciliation. This is asking you to make use of this moment of separation. We spend a lot of time waiting for significant events to happen. Most frequently, this involves, like I said, society's narrative of finding the right life partner and setting up a home. But don't forget that there are other things that can motivate us just as powerfully as love. You guys, there's only two motivators in this world. Well, there's fear, okay? But there's love and self-love. So if you're waiting around for the kind of happiness that comes out of love, guess what? You have an unlimited supply to your own source of self-love. And this is what it's trying to point you in that direction to see. And not all of us are suited to sharing our lives at the deepest level. So if you feel disposed to be solitary, do so and enjoy it to the full. So Archangel Gabriel asks, do you prefer to live alone or with others? Part of what this question is asking is, if you really spend that time alone and you get to know yourself and you say, you know what? I do think that a partner is the lifestyle for me, then understand what it is that you're going to want and need and expect from that person. Okay? Because if we understand and want and need and expect our other person to meet our emotional needs, that's just laziness. We have to meet them ourselves. And then when you come back into union with that person, understand that you don't have to, this is going to be hard for some of you guys, all right? Not every happy relationship means bearing the absolute most of your soul, all of it, to somebody else. For some of us, there are just some parts that we can take care of our own. And we don't have to make that another person's responsibility. So this time of separation is for two reasons. One, to find your own happiness. Because what if you got back with this person and you don't have any other outlets for emotional fulfillment? What are you going to do while they're following their goals if you don't have any of your own? Right? So tune into the goals that you have that are unique and individual. Tune into your 9 of Cups. Because that's individual emotional fulfillment. That's going to allow you a space from which you can confidently and safely and in a very healthy and not codependent way, step into a 10 of Cups with somebody else. Like really take a step back. Say what parts of my happiness moving forward are completely up to me versus what parts involve another person. Like if you definitely want to have children, well, you're not going to do that on your own. But you also cannot pause your life until that dream comes true. because that's actually the best way to pause the dream from coming true. Oh my goodness, so many deep messages. I'm going to move on now to, this is the past life oracle deck. There are a lot of cards that could potentially come out that may or may not have a message for us, but I'm going to go ahead and see what wants to come out. There's just a lot of extra cards coming out. This father, ooh, this is double-sided, you guys. This is a double-sided message. One message is for the masculine and one is for the feminine. This full moon is conjunct Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. This full moon is going to make us deal with some karmic cycles, karmic ways of relating to one another that we've lived out in our past, that maybe were learned in a past life, all right? But these are ways of relating to one another that, again, are the narrative of society and the subconscious. And that's how we've been acting them out in a very unconscious way. So now when you can begin to bring this cycle and this pattern into your conscious mind, then you can begin to release it and heal it. And it doesn't have to affect any of your relationships moving forward. For some of you, for the feminines, part of what you've been expecting your partners to do in the past, and I know this is again, leave your heart open and see if any of this message resonates in there, all right? It's a very kind of almost Freudian, but not quite. For a lot of our feminines out there, the expectations and the perceived needs that we have in relationships have to do with the relationship with the father. Things that your father did not do for you, you will now expect that it is the responsibility of your masculine partner to do for you. And when they don't do that, or if you don't express to them the need for certain securities or reassurances, then it triggers an inner wound that's not actually coming from your partner. It's coming from your childhood. It's an unhealed inner child. And for some of you, you're beginning to make that connection. You're beginning to understand how the relationship that you had, and for masculines as well, beginning to understand how the relationship that you had with your father defines what it is that you expect from either your own inner divine masculine or the divine masculine characters in your life. All right? So for instance, let's say I'm going to go ahead and be honest and authentic and real with you guys. Because this happens to me. When I was younger, I was very much discouraged from speaking my mind or just speaking up, verbalizing certain things. Very, very strongly discouraged. And I internalized that because there were certain things I was not allowed to say to the father figure in my life. All right. So then you fast forward 15, 20 years and I'm in relationships and there's a need for me to speak up about my boundaries, but I've internalized this dynamic that you don't speak up to the divine masculine in your life. And it can be released. It can be released. Okay. In fact, here's what's beautiful. This kind of energy is stored in the sacral chakra. And when you can open that up and release it, the sacral chakra is actually balanced by the third eye, which is always what I think of whenever I see a unicorn. And then this, of course, says wisdom as well. It is about releasing the past so that you can see a truer, more authentic, happier, purer, more heart-guided vision of your future. You got here with a compass, but you're going to move forward based on your own internal guidance. I love that, you guys. I love that. Because once you see this, that's all you need to do in order to heal it, in order to release it. That's all once you see it and you bring it into your consciousness, that's all you need to do. For the masculines, a part of what this is that you're a narrative handed to you by your father or the masculine energies in your childhood taught you to be emotionally unavailable. They taught you not to let a woman have power over you by triggering in you emotions that you can't control, or emotions that society does not encourage men to express. And you guys are beginning to realize that you've been acting that narrative out when it's not your truth. It was a truth that belonged to either your father or other masculine figures in your life. And I could be talking about like media. Okay? Media. Some of you guys grew up, if you didn't have a masculine figure to give you a model, a healthy masculine figure to give you a model, then you got them off of TV. And oh my God, you guys, so many of us got our relationship models from pop culture, from mainstream media. And they are meant to that narrative is meant to disempower us. So some of you guys are taking your power back from the narrative that has been guiding you in the past. And now you're ready to heal that and begin to move forward. Oh, wow. And begin to move forward in a very, very, very new way. And just wisdom again, you guys. Oh, I love this. And guardian angels. Yes, they're listening. Oh, gosh. So many messages just came out. But what happened right before this card came out, which look, we have a compass, you guys. I love it. I got another revelation about this Herodotus card. Some of this period of separation, the internal guidance of some of the internal review that you guys are going over, you're looking at your past motivations for getting into relationships and realizing that you have a completely different mode of discernment now. Look at all this imagery coming together. We have the zodiac, we have the world, and the world, we've got a compass. And look, this is the sea that's being navigated. And it's almost like that's the city you're trying to get away from. And this is your internal guidance. You see how it is a lighthouse inside of you. And you guys are going in and you're being like, wow, oh my God, I never realized that I had this unhealed wound. But now that I think of it, look at all of the times that I brought that wound into a relationship and I expected my partner to heal that wound. Or for the masculines, I brought that wound into the relationship and allowed it to wound somebody else. And now that you've made this connection and you don't have this subconscious void that needs to be filled, or this subconscious wound that you need to be healed, now you can practice true discernment in how and why you're entering into relationships. Even if we're talking about a reunion, coming back together with somebody, but doing it for completely different reasons, not because there's some unhealed part of you that person seems to fill, because I tell you what, that unhealed part of you is what that person's also going to trigger the moment that they don't feel it. And it's also a lot of responsibility to unconsciously put on somebody else. And a lot of us do that unconsciously. But now, I like this. It's like, I didn't see that before. Opening your eyes. And now being discerning. You see how she's plugging her ears? She's not listening to society's narrative anymore. She's using her own inner discernment. And these birds, it's messages from spirit, you guys. This has all been a divinely guided process. And if you're in separation with your twin flame right now, it's almost as if there is this frustration with your guides that they're not bringing you back together. And the fact of the matter is, they're with you, but they're trying to heal you and get you ready to move back together towards your counterpart. This wisdom, I was just about to say that represents like an angel or ancestor whispering in your ear. And look at this. That to me is a symbol for self-love. Wisdom. No more rocky shores. You see that calm water and a new sun coming up. A whole new truth coming into light, a brand new day. I love it so much. I love it. And her hair makes me feel like it's her too. Because you're on this path and it's almost like your guardian angels. Do you remember how I said there's certain situations were brought into your life to drive you away from all the external noises and allow you to tune into your own inner guidance. So please believe, did I not say Archangel Gabriel? We got higher level spirit in the house today, helping me to deliver this message to you. And they see your pain, right? But look, I don't understand the significance of the roses, but it's like you have all the tools you need to heal your heart. You just have to go ahead and put it there by your heart. They're showing you. Hey, you see those flowers? Put them on your heart. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Find the beauty in your heart. Open your heart. It's about keeping the heart chakra open and allowing the messages from your guardian angel to come in and really penetrate. Because we can put walls up to our spirit guides too. We can say, nope, that's a truth I'm not ready to process and deal with just yet. So I'm not going to listen. Guilty, I do that. But you're listening now. You're listening now. And you're understanding. So you got these wings, you're ready to fly. You're like, but spirit, I've been through the transformation. I'm ready to go down the path. And they're like, no, this is a time to rest. This is time to rest. Birds represent air element, and swords to me, right, is also the air element. So 4 birds represents, this is a 4 of swords. This is a time of meditation and contemplation. We're moving away from complication towards the truth about your own inner nature. Okay? But here we go. Patience. Okay? That's right. I'm not even worried about the perception. Look at these towers though. Look at these columns. Okay? These columns, this is about a time in which we could really think about the way that we have been wearing our past tragedies and successes as a mask. That just came right out of my mouth, Spirit. That's really profound. The way that we have been using, because this full moon is in Aries, how have we been identifying ourselves with our wounds, with our past traumas? Ooh, you have to really go into solitude and think about that. But these columns, this is High Priestess energy. This is listening to your inner wisdom and your inner guidance. Okay? But really understanding in both the masculine and the feminine, the way in which we've taken our past wounds and worn them through the world like a mask, or how we've worn a mask that looks like this in order to cover up the fact that we really feel like that. But taking the truth of it and trying to dress it up all fancy and going on stage and presenting to people what they want to see, giving the audience what they want to see. This fancy mask. When inside, there's a lot of happiness and sorrow that has to go unexpressed. Okay? So withdrawing into thought, the fact that that chair is empty is very significant right now. Just going within. And think about the ways in which this dynamic has played out in your past relationships. Spirit, wow. The truth of your inner nature. is being revealed to you. Patience, my child, patience. You feel really frustrated. You feel like you're, at some times, you feel like you're asking Spirit to show you something and they're not showing you. And Spirit is like, you're standing there with your eyes covered. We're trying to show you, but you're not listening, or you're staying there with your eyes covered. Or in this moment of separation, you're getting impatient because you don't see what your guides are trying to tell you. That yes, you've got the wings now. Yes, you have gone through the inner transformation. But this is a natural process. Did I see divine timing? I felt like divine timing. They just showed me the card. But this truth, now we've got twin flames here. Okay? And more third eye. Some of you guys, this inner healing that you have to do when you go into your subconscious and understand your own issues, all of a sudden it illuminates the way that that issue has been mirroring in your partner. The truth of that, you can now open your eyes. You see how we have this dichotomy between open and closed eyes. Some of you guys, there's a truth right in front of you that you're just not seeing. Okay? The honest to goodness truth is that those people who we identify as being capable of filling our subconscious voids, like I said before, are the same people who are going to trigger them. What we see in them, what we don't like in them, what we're angry at them for is really what we're angry about ourselves for. Okay? So some of you will begin to see this dynamic working within you and how it has worked with you in the past. And you're like, oh, shoot, now my eye is totally open to the way that we mirrored that. We mirrored each other. You and your twin flame or soulmate mirror each other there, all right? This is, again, look, you guys, look at all this third eye nonsense going on. This is about clearing out the illusions that were created about your future path by the narrative, this toxic narrative, relationship narrative, right? Like, so for a long time, you've been like, oh, well, I know, yeah, I'm going to be real with you. When I got knocked up at age 18, I did not want to stay with that man. But in my mind, I was like, oh, I'll be married in a couple years, because that was the narrative that I had been handed. I am 40 years old and still not married, and I do not regret it. I believed in the narrative I was being handed, and all the things that I went through taught me to clear that narrative out of the way. And now here you are out in the wilderness. What new path will you create for yourself? I also feel a lot like hide and seek energy. Some of you guys feel an impending reconciliation with your partner, but you're getting impatient. Like, you know you're going to come back together with your partner, but right now you're impatient. This is the part of the game that's like that. When you're playing hide and seek, the fun part of hide and seek is when you're running around chasing each other, trying to tag, trying to get back to home base. Or when you're picking a hiding spot. Ooh, that's my favorite part. When you have to count to 100, that's the least fun part of the game. But it is an important part of the game. Okay? Ooh, are we doing tarot? I have 5 minutes left before my camera dies, so I'm going to get out tarot. This is an erotic tarot deck. Look, I didn't even have to shuffle. The messages are here. I'm going to say it, all right? This death card reversed. Understanding our own invulnerabilities and how they allowed us to put ourselves in positions that were not empowering. How we have allowed our past vulnerabilities to convince us to give our power away. We're done with that. We're done. We're done. 6 of Swords energy. And then this is it, you guys. 6 of Swords. Remember I said 6 of Swords. Moving away, and these people are all at a costume party. Moving away from society, the space where you have to wear your mask. Because you guys, what's beautiful about this person, what draws you to this person in the first place, is that you don't have to wear your mask with them. Because when you take off your mask and they take off theirs, you are mirroring each other in a beautiful way. You can either mirror the worst in each other or the best in each other. And when you're wearing your masks, you're literally mirroring one another's masks back and forth to each other. This is two people sneaking away from the costume party. That's what this whole process is trying to get you guys to do. Get each of you individually to take off your masks, to understand why you wore them in the first place. And you know where they're sneaking off to? Their own little castle. This is the Four of Wands. This is celebrating a return to home. And look, you guys, it's the same little red flowers. Now that you've broken free from the narrative of society, what new future will you write? Begin writing one on your own, but leave space for your partner to join you. Oh my gosh, you guys. I love this so much. I'm not going to dig any further into that. I'm going to get one card from my Moonology Oracle deck combined with the Starseed Oracle. And right when I say one card, Spirit tries to give me two. So this is just your advice moving forward. And please understand, this is a lot of energy being carried in one singular new moon. If you watch the astro forecast, you will understand why. Let's go ahead and see some advice to really carry us through the month of October, which I had already said is not a time for communication. It's a time for introspection. This is another message that came up in the this was in my Starseed collective reading that I did today. We had balance, practicality, and spirituality, and it did kind of have to do with relationships. Big picture thinking, visionary, inspired, all right? Now that you've gone through this healing process, now that you've called out those parts of yourself that you did not want to look at in the past, you can begin to write a whole new future for yourself in which you balance the needs of the world against the needs of your inner self. This moon here is the same moon here. So maybe sometimes you rely on your compass and sometimes you rely on your own inner guidance. But being able to balance those things is what's going to be really, really important for you guys as you're moving through this period. Balancing also what you hope and wish and dream for in a relationship with what it is that you actually need. What needs can you fulfill on your own? And what needs can you expect a partner to fulfill when you guys come back into a healthy union? So, gosh, you guys, I kind of loved this reading. I hope you did too. Give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you are interested in Starseed Collective info, it's currently on Patreon. I am going to be moving it over to YouTube. So there's a channel out there right now called the Starseed Collective. There aren't any videos on it yet, but go ahead and join up if you like and you want to see what I've got coming out to you guys. For the rest of us, take really good care of yourself. Even if you're not on a twin flame journey, I think this message could help you to heal on whatever journey you're currently on. So, best of luck to you all. Take care.